the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. I deeply apologize, and I've been noticing there's been a pattern. It's only one show a month lately, going all the way back into August, so I apologize for that. That's pretty ridiculous. Especially since I haven't actually done lawn service in about a month, but there's kind of a reasoning behind that in a lot of ways. Obviously work has gotten ridiculous as well at times, but thankfully now we're on Christmas break. And yes, I like to call it Christmas break, not winter break or holiday break. Christmas break, yes. That's what it's originally meant to be. But it's at the same time also, right as basically the lawn service was going to wrap up for the year, on November the 24th, I got in a car accident. I was extremely tired from the night before. I had accidentally kind of squished my ribs a little bit on the left side, reaching for something in my chair, and then the handle of the chair kind of dug into my ribs on my left side. So when I went to bed not long after that, I couldn't really sleep well, obviously because of the pain on the left side. And I lost a lot of sleep. I finally, eventually said, okay, so I'm going to go sleep on the lazy boy, and finally got about maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep. Went to work the next day. I believe, yes, after doing lawn service, which ended up being the last day ever, basically. But yeah, after doing lawn service, this was Monday the 24th of November, and was kind of tired all day. During meetings, I was almost nodding off, this and that. And then time to go home, end of the night, 9:30, 10 o'clock, time to go home. Driving home and noticed I was kind of nodding off a little bit. And it's oh my gosh, this is really scary. And I was just about home, really close, really, really close. Started nodding off, oh my gosh, oh my God, oh my God, please, gotta get home. And then I hear this still small voice saying, park somewhere and take a nap. And then it's I'm so close, 2-3 blocks from home. 2-3 blocks from home, just down the street that leads right to the apartment, basically. That drives right by the park, the famous park that I've done several shows at. Going down the hill towards the park area, I was going to actually possibly take a nap in the parking lot. Instead, as I just, stopped for a stop sign, all of a sudden, apparently I had nodded off again for a millisecond, or, probably a second or two. The car's going over the curb. I panicked, reaching for the brake, and accidentally hit the gas. And I hit an electric pole. Yeah. Terrible. The car was already old and, kind of not doing so hot. It was still a good car that could have lasted several more years, but it wasn't in great shape necessarily. It was totaled. And I received chest injuries, like chest bruising, and the other side of the ribs got squished way more from the seatbelt. So it's I really, really couldn't sleep then, at least not in not in the bed, not for about a month, it turned out. My chest was bruised pretty bad. I had no broken bones, no permanent type damage to my body. The car obviously was gone. So any motivation to do a whole lot of podcasting other than, say, like the sports ones, I guess, off and on, which I didn't want to do either too much. But was kind of like stuck, like, you know, it was kind of a tough situation. And then at work, just right after that, of course, everybody's magically disappearing for the Christmas break, holiday break, whatever you want to call it. They're all magically disappearing. See you next year. It's like, yeah, screw you too. Because it's like, gee, thanks. You know, I'm just stuck here, less and less people. And then eventually I was the only, like, you know, production coordinator left out of 3. And, you know, it's, again, like, very little motivation to do a whole lot. You're tired, you're sore, you know, too much nonsense to deal with, that kind of thing. And there was that. But part of the story, that's kind of like a testimony once again, just like back in February when somebody hit my car and my nephews saved the day, literally saved the day. Instead of totaling out the car and saying goodbye then, they saved it by, you know, just simply hammering things in place and then getting a new door. And it's like, wow, that really worked out incredibly well. Just like a small fraction of what any price could be anywhere else. It was amazing. And, you know, I couldn't thank them enough. It was like a miracle. But then this time around, who comes to my rescue again? The nephews. Max, the young nephew. Well, Max, you know, one of the 2 twins, Max and Alex, had an old Lexus EX 330, 2005, that I'd gotten less than a year ago, right around the same time when the accident happened in February. He had purchased that car, a maroon color, and he just kind of drove it over and said, here, it's basically yours as a rental, and I'm actually looking to sell it. And if you're interested, go, you know, if you're interested, yeah, you can literally keep it by purchasing it. Like, it'd be like a long-term rental. It's like, oh my God, like talk about undeserved grace, you know, like on God's side of things. Like I nod off, get in a stupid accident, and then there's a car in my parking lot, like right after I got dropped off by, you know, the police officer that just, you know, he drove me home because it's only 3 blocks, just drove me home. I can imagine people thinking I was drunk driving and I was going in the backseat of a cop car because of that. But no, I absolutely was not drunk. I had fallen asleep for a millisecond or a second or two and had hit an electric pole. Unreal. And what a horrifying event. I mean, I still get shivers thinking about it. It felt like a plane crash. Like, it was that scary. Can you imagine suddenly waking up to, like, you're going over a curb straight towards an electric pole? Awful. Big, strong thing. That thing's still standing there like nothing happened to it. That's how freaking strong that thing was. And you just go right into it, like full impact. Oh, it felt wonderful. Oh, so sad. I was like, I totaled my car. I couldn't believe it. I was saying that. There was no coming back that time. And the pain was insane. But again, I'm not going to no hospital for a bruise. It's not happening. I'm not going to let them take money from me or anybody else for a bruise. Bruises heal without, you know, medical attention. They suck and they take forever, but they do heal. So, yep. But then there's the car just right there in the parking lot waiting for me. Unbelievable. And then a couple days later, it's like, yeah, because I'd had some money saved up. And, yeah, still unreal. Just a wonderful testimony at the end of the day. And, you know, just wonderful testimony, and it ended up being a better car anyway. You know, it's older. It was like it's a 7-year older car than what I had, a 2012 Honda Accord to a 2005 Lexus, but a better car, a luxury car, older but in good shape. Incredible, you know, just incredible. And it was funny how one of the fire truck people, because, you know, they're like the instant, like on the scene, like, you know, in case somebody needs medical attention, or who knows if the car started on fire. I was saying, yeah, I mean, it looks like maybe you can get a new car for Christmas. And I just kind of did like a long look like, yeah, but I don't want to lose my car. And, I just was sad, you know. So, but you ended up being right. It's a new used car, but it was an upgrade. I mean, what an incredible moment of grace. So I thought I'd put that testimony out there. And one of the reasons why I've been incognito. And yes, I did mention it on one of the other podcasts. The other shows I was kind of quiet about it. I think I mentioned it on Timberwolves Explosion. I may have kind of hinted at it on Purple Mafia, but interestingly enough, most of the listeners that might listen to multiple shows, like one of the sports shows coming to this one would be Purple Mafia. That show tends to draw a more conservative crowd than, say, the others, and I'm happy to be. Yeah, you guys are my brothers. Like, seriously, you guys are absolutely my brothers. And the Mark Carlsons, the Gerald Strings, and others out there that maybe come from that show that I haven't met. I'd like to say hello to you someday. Facebook, X Post, Twitter, whatever the heck it's called, Instagram. All that information should be in the show description. But again, I'm so sorry that it's been so long and been invisible for so long, and hope this wasn't a story that could drive you nuts. But again, it's just another example of God's grace to come out of that without any permanent damage to my body, without hurting anybody else, which again is horrifying as heck, thinking about something. Like, there was another night I was coming home from work and I felt kind of tired again, going down the same street. Creepy, doo-doo, whatever the doo-doo-doo-doo, like Twilight Zone music going down the street. And I was thinking, well, look at this thick layer of, like, snow and ice there. Thick layer of snow and ice that I would have never hit the pole. I would have just kind of hit the ice. Maybe it would have been a little bit of damage, but I would have woke up before anything really bad happened. But what really was the case? There was a person walking their dog in the exact spot at that exact time. And it's like, oh my God. Yeah, I wouldn't have hit the ice. I would have hit a person. I wouldn't have hit a pole. I would have hit a person. So it's like, holy mother of Moses. Like, no thanks. No thanks. It's like, in hindsight, it's like you're glad about what happened, even though you feel so sad. The poor car that he had for 11 years. He was almost new when it got it, and now it's, dead. It's literally dead. And it's just the saddest thing ever. So, sorry. You get attached to something you have for over a decade like that. You just feel terrible, and it's your fault, and you killed it. It's just awful feeling at the end of the day. I'm glad nobody thought I was drunk, but then again, maybe the neighbors probably did. But no, I wasn't. I was tired as blankety blank, and I fell asleep. That's what happened. And there are many stories like that. Herb Brooks, the legendary coach, fell asleep at the wheel and ran into basically like a median or something and never came home. He was dead. So, terrible. Legendary hockey coach Herb Brooks. Many of you have probably heard of him before. Yep. The movie Miracle was portrayed about him. And heck, they made the movie. He was still alive. And then he never got to see the movie because he died before it came out. Died. Yep. Fell asleep at the wheel and hit like a wall, basically. Ugh. I mean, just puts you into perspective how in just a second, pretty much everything can change. Everything can change, I mean, it's unbelievable. So here we are. Here I am. All this time later, and again, apologize for such a long wait. What was it? Yeah, I recorded the Kennedy episode 2 days before. Yep, 2 days before the Kennedy episode on the 22nd of November. I thought it was a pretty good one. I don't know how many listeners it got. It's hard to say, because Spotify, I don't even know if this is accurate or not. It's basically like showing hardly anything at all. And I always wonder, but I don't need to go on and on about that. I just want to, again, thank you for your support. Any of those that have been listening and those that have donated. God bless you so much. Thank you. They've donated to this show, and technically this one and Mysterious Adventures it's like a donation to both, basically. So I can't thank you enough, and for that have, and just love you to death. That's all I got to say about that. So now locally again, I mean, it's again stories that I should have been talking about for off and on, like weekly, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. The fraud that's been going on in the state of Minnesota, and how we can do better in Minnesota. Oh, we can do much better. Conversations of fraud, literally fraud, like money being stolen from the taxpayers of up to like excess of $8 billion, involving, a lot of this Somali fraud going on, and like Feed Our Families and such. I mean, there's just one thing after another. Of course, Tim Walz says there's no evidence of fraud in billions despite the allegations, and it's like, yeah, okay. He's the fraud father. That's what Tim Walz truly is. This was about a week ago, but it's again, it's a conversation that's still very much out there. Tim Walz is saying there's no evidence. This is like a Fox 9 article. On Friday, this was last Friday, Governor Walz and officials from the Department of Human Services said there's no evidence to suggest a number anywhere near that much. Yeah, BS. B is in B, S is in S, as Joe Souchere of Garage Logic would say. We've seen evidence of tens of millions of dollars to this point. Yeah, well, even tens of millions is still fraud and it's still getting stolen from the taxpayers. Even tens of millions. But I wouldn't doubt for a second that it is in the billions. This is Deputy DHS Commissioner John Connolly. We don't have evidence in hand to suggest we have $9 billion in fraud in these benefits over the last seven years. And if there is evidence, we need it so we can stop payment. And just so Tim Walz was saying, basically like, yes, we're going to put a stop to this fraud. Yeah, sure. That's like Al Capone putting a stop to crime in Chicago. Yeah, or in like the state of Illinois or something like that, back in the 1920s. Yep, Al Capone's going to put stop to it. Governor Capone is going to put stop to the crime in Chicago and in the state of Illinois. Basically, that's basically like the equivalent of it. I mean, he's the fraud father. It's an accurate statement. He's Tampon Tim. He's everything you could imagine. Ilhan Omar goes from somebody who was, I don't know, just a kind of a average person who had come from Somalia with a big mouth, an activist, an absolute ass, basically. Dishonestly marries her brother so he can come, basically, that type of thing. How the people like to milk anything they can and play any system they can. She goes from somebody who was worth maybe a few $100K at most, kind of like a lot of us out there, to $30 million. Like, where does that come from? Where's the $30 million from? I mean, you don't think there's some fraud going on there? And this is politician after politician after politician. It's not just Ilhan Omar, but Ilhan Omar is one of the more egregious ones because it's over a pretty short amount of time, and it's so much money. Like she's worth more than like some of these other major prominent politicians that were not millionaires before they got in office. Then you have people like the Obamas, the Clintons that are worth in the hundreds of millions, which is utterly ridiculous. Like, where the hell did that money come from? Pardon my French. It's a complete joke. It's horrifying. And again, this is your money, Minnesotans. This is your money being stolen from you. Stolen from you to give to people that don't deserve it, that have done nothing for you, never will do anything from you, and hate you. They call you racist. They call you xenophobes. They call you, white supremacists. Yeah, boy, I just thank you, no thank you for the money. Nope, no thank you for supposedly helping. Even though it was against our will, you literally just took it. It's nope, we hate you. You're all a bunch of white supremacists. Yet at the end of the day, who's the real racist here? At the end of the day, when you get into this kind of conversation, who's the real racist? The person who comes roaring in and robbing you and then calling you racist. It's all just an intimidation tactic. You know you're wrong. You know you're thieves. You know you're evil, and you do it anyway. And then you come up with this BS about racism just to intimidate people to back off. Like, that's all it's ever really been. Like people in the workplace, people in whatever it is, he must be racist. This guy is not a good coach. Must be a racist for saying this guy's not a good coach. This former Viking coach many years ago in the 90s. You could probably guess who that is and who accused people of racism every 10 seconds in his day. God rest his soul as well. He's no longer with us. It's just BS. Another thing, another quote here. I have a very unique role in state government. I'm sure you do, Clark, James Clark. The department's, it's very interesting. Okay, this is a different person. Okay. The department's inspector general, yeah, that's probably not a good person, right? James Clark said he's asked the U.S. Attorney's Office to share information and hopes to meet with them soon. I have a very unique role in state government, said Clark. I work at the Department of Human Services. I can shut off money to people and businesses where there is evidence of fraud. Yep, you do have a very interesting role, don't you? What I'm saying is I haven't seen any evidence or information to suggest there is $9 billion worth of Medicaid fraud that's happened in the state of Minnesota. You do have a very unique role, don't you? I probably wouldn't even want to know what it is. I'd get too angry to find out what your role really is. It's politically charged. I don't know. It's beyond frustrating that this type of thing can happen. And again, you're hearing about people like Ilhan Omar being worth in the excess of $30 million. Or was it 28? Oh, sorry. That's just terrible exaggeration, right? Basically $30 million, even if it is 28 or it's 38, whatever it is. Ilhan Omar, is there any question that everything about her is basically fraud? Everything about her is fraud. Anytime anybody dares question her, she just like gets extremely angry, like a temper tantrums. She throws tantrums and accuses people of racism and God knows what else. And it's been all over the place, including even like interviews on liberal stations like CNN, like ultra left stations like CNN. She's just kind of accusing everybody of racism everywhere she goes, and I don't know. That's the only real conversation she has. Unfortunately, here in Minnesota, people agree with that crap. And that's why Tim Walz has a real chance of being reelected again. Even though plenty of left-leaning people in the media, like Dan Barrero, are even saying he should strongly consider him being Tim Walz at the very least. Should strongly consider no, I'm not going for reelection anymore. Like stepping away from that and moving on. Not even resigning, but stepping away. Now, honestly, Tim Walz should have resigned a long time ago. Ilhan Omar should not be in office. It is a joke, especially when you see signs everywhere, voting, during the primaries. Democrats absolutely always supporting her opponent, not her, which tells you something funny is going on as well. I don't doubt that she does get plenty of actual votes from people, but in the city and such, like the Somali community. But here's the other question. How many of those Somalis should be voting in the first place? How many of them are actual legal citizens? That's a good question, too. That's a question that should be raised. Are they legal citizens? That's not a racist statement. It's a question. It's a question. Answer my damn question. That's what I would tell them if they started going at me, oh, you're a racist. And no, I'm not. No. Are they a legal citizen? Did they come here legally? Because if they didn't, they have no right to vote. They have no right to vote. If I went to Mexico today, if I went to Canada, if I went to Japan, Vietnam, go on, and voted illegally, my vote shouldn't count. Period. End of story. Done. Okay? End of story. Done. Like, I'm not a legal citizen. I don't have the right to vote. I'm just a guest. I'm just a guest. Period. You don't have the right to vote. And, at the end of the day, that looks a lot more like something called an invasion versus an election. It's an invasion. And that's pretty much, like a biblical type of thing. That's that kind of stuff happened. Invaders would come in, try to change, so like in the Bible, like Israel and such, the Philistines coming in and just kind of taking over, deceiving people, like a Samson and such. And the Philistines had a field day when they were able to, when Delilah was able to cut Samson's hair. Just stuff like that. Just conversations that you can go on and on. It's all kind of similar. It's all kind of similar just to what's going on. Just, okay, yeah, come on in. Oh, okay, she got elected. Okay, she got elected. She's the first one of this and first one of that. And this one's the first one over here of this. And that one's the first one over there of that. And then it's like, wait a minute, did they really get in legally? But now there's nothing you can do. They're there already. And now it's continuing to happen because everything's A-okay and too many people are good with it because they vote a certain way no matter what. And you're screwed. That's an invasion. That's called an invasion. And I don't know. It's not something people from Minnesota should stand for. If we have any sense of, I don't know, patriotism, pride, any type of pride. And I don't mean the evil type of arrogant pride. I mean more like patriotic pride. Like, this is our state, this is our country. And I don't know. I mean, you're not going to just suddenly take taxpayer money and throw it to your country. Take it to your country. That's where a lot of this fraud money's been going. And that's what the conversation is the past several weeks here. And I'm kind of getting caught up on it with you, of course. You're hearing it out of my mouth. Obviously, you've been hearing it out of other people's mouths as well. But it's something that absolutely needs to be dealt with at the bare minimum at the voting polls. But, I mean, at the same time, we need people in office that have the balls to step up to this and get the job done one way or another. Expose the truth as to what's really going on and cut the BS. Cut the BS from these other people that just want to let it keep happening. And then lie to you. People that hate you. People that hate this state. People that loved the smell of burning tires and burning cars during the George Floyd riots. Are you American or are you a terrorist? I mean, seriously, again, it's like Al Capone, becoming mayor of Chicago or governor of Illinois. That's basically what it is. That was what Tim Walz was talking about. Tim Walz's wife was talking about how great it was to smell the smell of burning rubber as the cop cars burned, or the police when the police precinct burned to the ground during those absolute abomination George Floyd riots that were completely unnecessary from start to finish. Completely unnecessary in so many ways. And that's a conversation we can have on future episodes, of course, as to what really happened to George Floyd and what's been out there and what continues to be out there. Yeah, fentanyl overdose. That's right. But we'll talk about that on a different episode. But that's been out there, and it's going to continue to be out there because it's a lot of evidence points that way. And people continue to cover things up because, what are you going to do? You're just going to incite the mob even more. Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever you say. You're the ones inciting the mob, and you're the ones supporting and celebrating it. Governor and Miss First Lady Governor. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh boy. Yep, what a horrifying state of events in this state. State of affairs in the state of Minnesota. And all of us, I think, need to make our votes, obviously. And again, also, those of you that are in other states and such, don't let this happen to you. Iowa, Wisconsin, Virginia. Don't let this happen to you. Vote. Vote when it's time. You have to. You have to vote when it's time. Don't let these people win. Don't let these people win. Vote against them as much as possible. And obviously, anybody that would allow this kind of nonsense to happen, they need to be voted out immediately. Otherwise, this is going to be the United States. What's happening in Minnesota and California, New York, it's going to happen in the United States, not just Minnesota, California, and New York, because it has been happening. Again, like an invasion. Remember the George Washington vision that I still haven't done an episode on. The third situation. What was the first one? I believe was the Civil War. The second one, it was like a vision with an angel and such, was the World War. It might have been the first one or the second. But the third one was basically like what would be the future to us right now. It'd be the future. Or it was like the country was being invaded by this dark force, and it was the scariest by far. George Washington found this event scarier than the Civil War and the Great War or World War II. Scarier, far scarier. So think about how bad. Think about how bad that one's going to be. Conversation was millions in combat. You could hear the cries of millions in combat on our soils. Think about that. So, yep, which again, got to do an episode on it, but that's kind of like an appetizer for the future, whether you agree, disagree. I mean, it's a conversation. It's a conversation at the very least, and that's where freedom of thought kind of comes to fruition. Again, apologize if I went on and on and on my testimony about the car, but again, it's just further proof that God is good. I mean, think about it, like literally. God's working through my nephews, multiple times, saving the day. It's insane. It's insane. God's working through them, saving the day. The alternator in the summer of 24, the door slash like the base of the car beneath the door, the back seat area in February 25, and now November 2025 into December with that old but still good Lexus car. Incredible. Obviously, like that was the replacement for the Honda. At this time, it was like it's dead and gone. Now it's gone. But an absolute blessing that the Lord came to my rescue through my nephew. So thank you, Lord, so much for that. And God's there with you. He truly is. Again, further testimony that needs to be out there. Be it Freedom of Thought or other shows out there. Obviously, big shout out to Truth to Ponder. Truth, the number 2 Ponder. Obviously, again, Bob Bierman. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. Via email. I've just been lazy about that. But, great show, obviously. Great pastor out of Chilhowie, Virginia. So, obviously, he's one that you'd like to donate to. I've donated in the past. So, and if you want to donate to this show as well on Give, Send, Go, I guess we're both on Give, Send, Go, the Freedom of Thought on Give, Send, Go. The link should be in the show description. And yeah, I'm going to try to be on more and more and more. I apologize. And again, like those car episodes, I was actually going to record this episode in that new used car today, partially for fun, we'd have it in the new used car. But, I mean, it's just if I have access to where where I could just record at home, why not go for it? Like the quote unquote studio, as I like to say. Might as well go for that. It's like, it's not as cold or wet like it's been nasty. Another Christmas that goes from like super cold December to like all of a sudden here comes Christmas and the temperature warms up, but it's foggy and wet and misty and it's nasty. I'll take a few degrees colder with some sun any day of the week. Any day of the week, I'd prefer that versus dark fog, mist. I don't like it. It sucks. Even though it's above freezing and all that, it sucks. And then the hockey rinks are all wet and they're ruined. Nobody's able to skate on them. It stinks. So last year, all of a sudden by New Year's Eve, there we go, finally cold enough for it again. So I just like to watch people skate, play hockey and such. Just like to observe. It's just like, there's a charm to it, there's a charm to it. There really is, especially when it's like Christmas week and such. So yeah, you hate to see it get spoiled, but with the dark moisture and such. Remember, we did episodes here on Freedom of Thought about that thick fog that happened pretty much it was like the week in between Christmas and New Year, and then it finally cooled off and the fog lifted. But I mean, we're talking historically thick fog. Remember that? It was weird. It was like, you can't really see too far ahead. And it was kind of an episode about the fog combined with what's going to happen in this world. And it's been a weird year. There's no doubt about it. It's been another weird year. Every year's weird. It seems like we've saying that every year, but it's been a very strange year. All the tariffs with Trump and the back and forth with Zelensky and the ups and downs here and there. I'm still glad I voted for Trump, but at the same time, it's like, see, I'm glad I voted for Trump, but at the same time, it's been a weird first year with Trump as the president in his second term. It's been a weird one. The first 4 years felt better. Obviously, the last year was weird too with all the COVID crap. That just kind of, Trump basically couldn't do anything that he would have liked to that year. Everything was just kind of COVID. Whether it was being exaggerated or not, it felt extremely exaggerated, and it probably was. In fact, yeah, I'd say so. It's a real virus, yes, but the reaction was a complete exaggeration to it. Shutting down everything was kind of silly, I thought. But yes, like literally everything. You couldn't even go to church. I mean, that's ridiculous, man. But you could go to the liquor store. Yeah, you could go to the liquor store, but church? Oh, no. That's been a conversation that's been out there for a while. But still, obviously, pretty ridiculous, the overreaction. Yep, a strange year with Trump in office, saying some things that are kind of unnecessary, like the whole Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America. I don't know. Is it that important and worth kind of fueling these stupid people to keep crapping on us? It's not worth it. And I don't mean Mexico being stupid. I mean the left. It's not worth it. Just giving them more fuel. That's what I personally don't like. It's not worth it. So now that I've gone on and rambled, I guess that's just more conversation for the show. If you could put a 5-star rating for the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, that'd be greatly appreciated, or any other app that allows you to do that. It'd be greatly appreciated. Share this show with your friends if you can. Please spread it out there, and say hello to me. PaladinoLive@yahoo.com or PaladinoLive@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Instagram, freedom_of_thought1776. The Twitter account is freedomofthou76. And the Facebook page is facebook.com/freedomofthought1776. So those should, all be in the show description, like links and such. And I'd love to hear from you if possible. I should check and see if there is any comments, because there probably has to be something. Probably does. Why did I do that? Sorry. So I should get to the Facebook page real quick here. I have the Timberwolves Explosion one up because I did that earlier today. Traditional Friday show during the Timberwolves season. Yes, I still talk sports in this world, as crazy it is as it is, pardon me. I mostly just like, the Fraud Father. That might end up being the logo of this episode. In fact, I think it should be. It's a cool one. Okay, this one was already... But I probably didn't read this. Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm going to read it now. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to read Mark's comment. I just keep doing that. It's frustrating. November 16th, if I had $1 for every time socialism worked, I'd have $0. Coincidentally, if it did work, I would also have $0. Yeah, correct. Mark from Iowa. Mark Carlson, I did see this comment before, and I feel like a jerk for missing it, so we're going to read it now. Just look at Seattle, says Mark Carlson. Portland, and the entire state of California. That'd be the left coast. And what did I see in the news recently? Commercial drivers who can't speak English. Yeah, that is a huge thing. And now we have commercials that aren't in English. Like, seriously? We're making commercials that aren't in English? Like Poor K. Let me, why? Yep. Poor K. Why are we having commercials that aren't in English? It's so bullcrap. But anyhow, after several recent high-profile accidents, several states are stepping up enforcement. I swear, you can't count on the government to keep us safe. California is now forced to cancel or revoke 17,000 commercial driver licenses issued without proper paperwork, without proper work authorization and other related documents. California, a state who spews out regulations that strangle commerce and outright ban commerce activity unless it meets their standards, has put us all at risk. It's ironic that they, quote unquote, yeah, but I'm just putting the care. It's ironic that they care about animal health and living conditions such as Proposition 12. That state hogs must be housed in pens with specific dimensions. Sorry about this. And the state has gone to the trouble to inform you via package labeling that the item may cause cancer, and yet they just let these fruitcake drivers get a CDL. Man, that'd be a commercial driver license. Yep. What next? Perhaps California will credential them to be teachers or maybe surgeons or pharmacists. Oh boy. How about we protect the people on our highways? So glad I'm not trucking anymore. I thought I would do some part-time driving in retirement, but I am not. What a mess. Yep, and thank you, Mark. That's a lot of frustration there, and understandable. Man, oh man, that is horrifying. That kind of stuff is really going on. So, and I apologize for missing that before. I truly do. I think that's the only actual comment, just kind of likes and such, and then the fraud father image, because I'm thinking of using for this episode. Another post, what words that no longer hold any power in 2025? Yup, and I agree with this. Nazi, bigot, racist, sexist, far right, misogynist, transphobe, xenophobe, homophobe, white supremacist, Christian nationalist. What did I miss? Yep, and it's basically like, yes, yep, they don't hold any power now. No, it's like, shut up. Seriously, just shut up. Then there's a man in Minneapolis holding a sign saying, and yes, a black man, which is good. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing that it's a black man doing this. Unless this is some kind of weird Photoshop, and I'm believing that it isn't. George Floyd passed from an OD, not Officer Chauvin. Stop lying. And I don't doubt that's a real image there. George Floyd passed from an OD, not Officer Chauvin. Stop lying. Nobody liked that one for some reason. Yeah. Yep. It was an OD. It was an overdose. So, unfortunately, nobody liked that one. I don't know if people didn't see it or what the deal was, or they're afraid to be called names. I don't know. I'm going to head to the Instagram just in case there's a comment or two there. There could be, but probably not. Nope. Not there. Yeah, there's some likes. Yeah, there are likes for that one there. I'm not seeing who liked it, but there are likes. Okay, good. Fraud father, no comments. Okay, so we'll wrap up the the feedback segment here with that. And again, thank you so much for listening. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.